Welcome to Capital Talk, a program we hope will have an impact on the future of Kenya, and now more than ever. I'm Jeff Koinange. Now, all this week, if you've been watching Capital Talk, you know it's all about political satirists. When you open up the newspaper, when you look at those cartoons, the faces behind those cartoons. We started off with Mado, and then we went on to Gado. Today, a very, very serious Kenyan. He started off with the cartoons, went on to do the same thing on television. And then if that wasn't enough, he tried his hand in politics. In other words, practicing what he's preached all along. He didn't make it. He'll tell us what happened. But this is no doubt a face to look out for in the future of Kenya. And that's what this program is all about. He's barely 30 years old. Young, smart, ambitious. He's made a lot of Kenyans happy, smiling with his paper, a column that ran for 12 years, no less. Imagine, he was in Form 4 when he started. For 12 years, it was called, and I'm not shrubbing, Head-On Corrision. I'm sure a lot of you missed that column. He'll tell us if he's ever going to get back to it. But for now, let's talk to the man behind the Head-On Corrision fame. He's none other than former aspirant for Dagoretti, John Kiarie, or simply KJ, my brother.
When a political party nominates you,
yes,
you're no longer an aspirant. You're a candidate.
You're a candidate. Okay.
Yes.
So you are a candidate.
I'm a candidate.
Well done, my
Yes.
brother. Well done. And you fought a good fight. Let's put that out of the way. You fought a good fight.
We did fight a good fight, but we didn't fight it as KJ. The people of Dagoretti did what had to be done. And you all know what happened. It was in the media. What happened eventually when all the votes had been counted and we were waiting to tally the votes, and something really evil did happen there, and we took that to court. And Jeff, I believe that the courts have an unwritten brief to maintain status quo, because our judgment was one of the most shocking judgments that have ever been read out in Kenya, whereby the court admits that there were massive irregularities in the election of Dagoretti, that even up to date, we do not know how many votes were returned from Dagoretti, that the court admits that the returning officer who was there was very incompetent, couldn't handle the election, the magnitude of Dagoretti. Also admitted that, the court also admitted that ECK occasioned a lot of malpractices, but went on to tell us that, you know what, we can't grant you even a by-election.
So it makes Kriegler, the report,
Yes.
It justifies what happened in Dagoretti, right? I mean,
Oh yes. Let me tell you what has been happening with this thing. Before we saw KICC in December, I'd already seen that in Dagoretti. It was deja vu for me, whereby it's not about what is in the ballot boxes, it's about who will announce themselves a winner. I'd seen that in Dagoretti. Before Kriegler was out, Jeff, let me tell you, I'd seen it in court. And I understand why the PM decided not to go to court, decided not to go and get reprieve from the Kenyan courts. We'll need to clean up a lot. And one of the places that we'll need to clean up is the judiciary. Has to be really cleaned up.
Yeah.
There are very many unseen hands that are manipulating the judiciary.
Yeah.
Yes.
KJ, I must be one of the few Kenyans who didn't know that you were a cartoonist.
You should have known that, but while we were busy doing it,
Yes.
you know, your career was growing.
Correct.
And you're out of the country.
Yes.
But I remember it must have been in 1995
Yes.
or 1996.
Yeah.
We had this small cartoon on Head-On Corrision about this handsome man who was on KTN, and he would get the young Kenyan girls to go crazy every time he came on TV and said, "This is the KTN news, and I'm Jeff Koinange." And he couldn't get Langata right. We just couldn't tell why he can't get Langata right. Langata, you know. So we had that on the Head-On Corrision.
Did you?
So you should have known about the Head-On Corrision.
Yeah. I want my copy.
I should get that for you. Yes.
So Head-On Corrision ran for 12 years, KJ. That's incredible. And it was a full-page column in the Sunday Nation.
Yes.
Targeted at the youth.
Yes.
That was your perspective.
It did grow from 1995. It was a small strip, grew into half page, and then grew into the full page. And Jeff, I've got to say a big thank you to all the editors that I've worked with over the years. Initially, The Young Nation was published by Jacaranda Designs, who were contracted by Nation.
Yeah.
And that's the office I walked into when I was 16 years old. And I told them I need a job as a cartoonist. So Jacaranda Designs, Chebet Karago, Faith Balongo, we've got Wahome Mushiri, we've got all these editors.
Yeah.
You know, they were really, really good to us, and they gave us the opportunity to do what we knew how to do.
Right.
Yeah.
KJ, there's some 16-year-olds watching this program right now, and they're probably saying, how do you walk into a building when you're 16 and convince the people that you can do cartoons for a leading daily or a weekly?
Jeff, I believed in myself. I wish I believed in myself today as I did when I was 16. You know, I just compiled some few things I had. I'd been doodling all my life. You know, I started cartooning before I could even write. So I had all these scrap papers of things I'd been doodling all my life. And I just took a few of them, some of which were high school exercise books. When I was in high school, you know, I'd start writing notes from the front and start drawing from the back. And you know that got me into a lot of problems because at some point the notes will meet the cartoons. And you can imagine how that is if it's a maths exercise book.
Yes.
So I collected these and I walked into the Young Nation offices and I told them, I believe I can draw cartoons for the youth. And they said to me, we're going to put you up for a few weeks. If Kenya likes it, we'll hire you. And a few months later, I was hired on Young Nation as a contributor, and the rest is history,
As they say. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the cartoons or some of the people you have lampooned, if you know, for lack of a better word. Any favorites? Because I know you have played First Lady Lucy Kibaki in the ridiculous skit on Red Corner.
Yeah. Let me tell
She's
you.
got to be one of your favorites.
Karuse.
Karuse.
Karuse is a favorite. Karuse is the character.
Yes.
And the First Lady is Madam Lucy Kibaki. Karuse is the character. And Karuse was definitely a favorite of mine on the cartoon strip, but more so on the TV show. But when we come to the cartoons,
Yes.
I really, really did love drawing myself. That's where it starts.
Yes.
Because if I can't make fun of myself, I have no title to make fun of anyone else. So I started off by making fun of myself. And when I was comfortable with that and everyone was comfortable with that, I moved on to everyone else. Had a really good time drawing the first, the former president.
Yes.
I had a good time
Yeah.
drawing him.
Was that fun to draw? I mean, what reaction would you get? Because I asked Mado the same question, right? And in the beginning, you know, people were scared. Nobody wanted to touch Moi.
Yes, they were. And let me tell you, the likes of Mado, that generation of cartoonists, Mado, Cam, Gado, they did open doors for us. By the time we were getting there, we could do it.
Yeah.
And the challenge was now to just put a different angle into the satire than what everyone else has explored. So every time it was a challenge, but had a really good time doing that.
Yeah.
The Bucks
Yeah.
is also,
The
is
Bucks.
also a character I like.
And those who don't know the backs?
The Bucks is the character, but the man himself is President Mwai Kibaki. I've done a lot of cartoons.
Yeah. Is he easy to draw?
He is fun to draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Easy, I don't know, but fun to draw. And the ease of it is in the recognition. Because if you draw a good caricature, it's going to be good by how easily it's recognizable by the people who are reading it.
Yeah. You don't want people saying, who is this guy?
Yes.
Right?
So those are the big names.
Yeah.
But you realize that on Head-On Correction, we did develop characters that we really grew over the years. We had this character who came up and his name was Professor Pogre Kiogode. Professor Pogre Kiogode was an inventor, and he went on to the Mchongwano lab, and we really grew that Mchongwano thing.
Yes.
So much so that you could not go to a youth event. A youth event could not be complete without a Mchongwano session. You know, we had another character by the name of Jamawa Kupiga Debe. Huyu jamaa wa kupiga debe, kazi yake ilikuwa ni kupiga debe for anyone who's done something good. So like this week, tungekuwa tunapigia Jeff Koinange debe. That's another character. We also grew the character quite recently of the characters of two guys who are called Machizi Mtaani. Oh, Machizi Mtaani grew to be really big.
Was it two guys on the bench?
The two guys on the bench,
Sort of
seated
like
the
this.
way we all seated and having a conversation. But they had a really twisted angle to everything. You know, they would be thinking things out of the box. You know, one would probably be asking things like, does Michael Joseph really buy credit from Safaricom when he needs to make a call?
Yeah.
Or give an angle to a current story. But that's their conversation. But their setting, they're your usual urban youth. Where they're seated is a place called Jobless Corner. So it's a reflection of the society because there's so many young people, intelligent as can be, resourceful as can be, industrious as can be, who are seated on a bench, not out of choice like we are seated with you, but because they have nowhere else to go. So that was Machizi Mtaani. They grew to be really big.
Yeah.
So those are my favorite characters on the Head-On Correction.
KJ, the inspiration for all this, because, you know, you're so young, but yet you see so far. Where would you get your inspiration to say, you know, on Sunday, I'm going to tackle this subject? Because, you know, it's not an easy thing to put a full page of cartoons with a message together.
I say this, Jeff, and I've always said this, that to put up the Head-On Correction, we had like close to 12 segments. So if I was a musician, that would have been an album dropping every week. An album, 12 tracks dropping every week.
Yeah.
Because you've got 12 segments.
Yeah.
As for the inspiration, a number of things. First of all, it really helped to be born right in the middle in a family of 8 boys. I was the 4th born. And 2 of my elder brothers were really good artists. One of them right now is an art teacher. Very good artist, very good cartoonist. So when he was in high school, he used to do cartoons for his school magazine. And I would steal his cartoons and trace them. I traced cartoons before I could draw them.
Right.
So I really did mess up a lot of his cartoons. Another brother of mine was also a very good artist, and I followed him closely. He was only a year older than me. So he would always get me to do stuff, so that by the time I was in standard 4, I had a regular magazine that I used to draw. It was a magazine I would sketch and sell when I was in standard 4. So I got a lot of inspiration from the family. The society does inspire me a lot, because you'll go out there and you'll see something crazy, and all you'll need to do is give a KJ twist to it.
Yeah.
And that will either be visually or during performing on stage, or during a performance on stage. That's like an inspiration. But more importantly, I am a very meditative prayer. I pray meditatively, and I've made it a habit to just take some time every morning to just pray meditatively, where I just recollect my thoughts. And let me tell you, Jeff, there is a lot of inspiration to be found in God. I just sit there, and for 15 to 30 minutes, I'm just in the silence. I'm just praying meditatively. There's a lot of inspiration in there.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
KJ, I want to talk more about that. And I also want to talk about the transition from cartooning to ridiculous, the TV strip, to politics. I mean, this is just, it's almost like you're going step by step by step. It's almost a methodical sort of process for you to get to the promised land. But first we'll take a break. My guest today, wow. What a guest, what a show, what a week. We're talking to cartoonists, people who make you laugh, not only at yourself, but at society in general. But at the end of the day, they make you think about where you're going, where we are all going as one nation. You can only get that kind of stuff right here on Capital Talk, only on K24. So don't go away. We are back in a moment. Welcome back. You are watching Capital Talk, and all this week, it's all about the cartoonists, the political satirists who make us laugh and make us think. But our guest today, simply known as KJ, he's made us do even more, or he's done even more. He took his skits onto TV, from TV to politics. And guess what? He is not stopping there, but he knows where it all began, and he knows what his goals are. Listen carefully. So KJ, in this head-on collision, you had a year where you had various individuals who were voted in various categories, right?
Yes.
Like frequent flyers award,
Yes.
right? Like, or absentee MP of the year.
Yes.
What kind of reaction did this kind of stuff get?
It always does bring. It's normally, and that has been all through the time that we've done the coalition. It's normally divided right in the middle. Half of Kenya loves it. The other half of it loathes it. And that's the only way you'll know that whatever you're doing has an impact.
Correct.
If everyone loves you,
There's something
someone
wrong.
is lying to you. Someone is really lying to you. So
And that's a lesson everywhere, right?
yes, it is. It
Yeah.
is. Even when I came out of the visual arts and went into political satire on TV, half of Kenya loved it. Half of Kenya loathed it, because probably you support someone who we've hit at this week, and you'll hate those boys
Yeah.
and hate their guts.
Yeah.
It's the same thing right here.
But it
on
shows
the-
you're
on
doing
the
something
coalition.
right.
It does show that you're doing
Yeah.
something right,
Yeah.
but it also keeps you on toes.
Yes.
It keeps you on toes
Yes.
because you never want the balance to tilt.
Sure.
You don't want it to ever tilt, because if it does, as I said, and there's a big mass of people who probably just really hate you.
Yeah.
There must be something you're doing very wrong, or a really big mass that is pretending to really love you. There's something quite not right.
At the same time, KJ, with these people that you've lampooned, have you gotten some negative reaction in the streets? Like when you walk the streets, have they said, "Where, but I'm not to enjoy sana"?
You always get that. You always do get that.
Yeah.
But by the time we were getting into cartooning, people had seen almost all. So everyone knew the place for cartoons. And Kenyans at that time were able to take cartoons for humor's sake. And they knew cartoons have their place, and left it at that. But you will never miss your extremists. A guy who will walk up to you and even do that thing to you. Fanya hivyo tena utaona, fanya hivyo tena utaona. You know, you'll always get those. Or crazy
yeah,
male,
yeah.
very crazy male coming through lawsuits, obviously.
Right.
Those do come
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
And then more recently, hate SMSs and hate emails. You'll always get that
Sure.
when you're doing this kind of a thing.
Yeah. Looking ahead, KJ, and I haven't asked you whether you would go back to this, but if you were ever to go back to cartooning, the characters out there's some characters out there for you.
Yes, there are characters.
Martha, for instance,
Yes, Martha Karua.
if she doesn't sue you.
Let me tell you, she falls right in the bracket where we were talking in about, where half of Kenya will really loathe you,
Yeah.
and half of Kenya will really love you, and that is good fodder for cartoons and satire. Mine is a bit more lighter. The characters I'm seeing who are growing really fast is your man, Francis Atwoli. Mjenzi. You know, he's got something to say about every. Hii Jeff Koinange alisema hii ni station yake ni ya watu winning. Ilishinda nini? Mkepekani hii station yake ilishinda. You know. So I think Atwoli would be the character right there.
Be perfect.
Yeah, he's been giving us a lot of humor where ridiculous has been missing on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
The
It gives us a
PM.
reason to
What about
watch.
the PM?
Hiyo jamaa kushachora mara ya kutosha. Tayari wamechora yeye akisema kwamba Jaluo lazima akatwe. Si wamesema? Kwa hivyo sisi nasema yeye yuko maridadi kabisa ya kuchora cartoon. Sio? Yuko salama. He's a character.
Yes.
He's a character.
Yeah.
Falls in the same bracket. Half of Kenya really loves you.
Yeah.
Half of Kenya can't stand your guts.
Yeah.
You know.
Another character of yours, Karuse.
Karuse.
Who is your mother?
We are not going there.
No, let's go.
We won't go
Let's
there.
go.
We won't go there. Let me tell you, the last time I went there,
Yes.
I was in a lot of problems. A lot of problems. So when I say I won't go there, I won't go there.
Okay.
Yes.
Her husband.
But you can catch her on YouTube. You know, there are ridiculous clips on YouTube.
They're still there.
Just go there.
Yeah.
Ule yuko pale pale. Haendi mahali popote. And you've seen him in our cartoons.
Yes, yes.
He got an award for album of the year.
Uh-huh.
This is in this was in 2006 December.
Yeah.
He got album of the year 2006. The album had hits like Kubaf, Mavi ya kuku, bure kabisa, wacha fitina. And there was a song there called Mujie Joy, ama fanya kazi, masomo ni ya bure kabisa. You know, we awarded him for the 2006 awards on head-on correction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other character out there who you think you would love to do if Ridiculous got together again?
If Ridiculous did get back together, I would want to play the character of Barack Obama in Kogelo. Yes. You know,
not in Washington.
Not in Washington. They've always asked, the question had been, or basically the joke had been, who will be the first one to get a Luo president? Kenya or the US? Right. And the answer from where I'm seated, Kenya, but he's not sworn in yet. You know, yeah.
Okay. This is fantastic. When you're looking out there now, obviously politics is in your blood. I can tell, or you knew from day one, politics is in your blood. And obviously in 2012, you're coming back in some way, shape or form, and you know there need changes to be done within parties. The people coming up behind us, KJ, or behind you, for instance, that generation, what do we need to do to get them to rally, to get them absorbed into the system so that we don't lose out, we don't create a vacuum after your lot of come and gone?
Jeff, you saw the election 2007, and there was this big mass of Kenyans who stood up and said that they are Kenyans who've gone before us, who have betrayed the Kenyan dream. And we were able to even single them out and even point them out and say that this is a generation of Kenyans that has let us down. That's a generation that's ahead of us. Then there come our generation, me and you, who are in the forefront in 2007, saying that this is a very youthful revolution, and you could see it even within the parties. It didn't matter which party you are in, ODM, PNU, there were young people there agitating for a revolution in 2007. That was a generation. Behind us, Jeff, is a generation that does worry me. And these are the young people who are burning schools. These are the young people who've grown up on the internet and they've grown up on TV. And they're not as patient as you and I are. You know, we were patient enough to say that we can go it the ballot way. Yeah. We can occasion change by empowering our generation to go up and get voters card and get into an election and vote. We could take time to do that. That generation doesn't have that time. There's no good food in the dining hall, we ban the dining hall. We can't get the right teachers we need or the teachers we think we should be getting, let's ban the dormitory. That's how that generation is. We have a big role modeling issue in Kenya. And the least you and I can do is role model those guys. That's the least we can do because they're not getting role models from the people who went ahead of us.
And KJ, one thing that maybe some people don't know is that you were a teacher as well at some point.
Yes, I did teach. I taught in 2 schools. I taught in Meru, Materi Girls. That's in Tharaka.
Yes.
Montumorome, unajua ile mahali inaitwa Tharaka. That's neighboring countries, Tharaka. I taught in a very beautiful school called Materi Girls. I was teaching computers and information technology. But I also did have a short teaching stint at State House Girls. I taught fine art and design. I was an art teacher.
Why only girls' schools?
I didn't choose the schools I went to, Jeff, but I did have a good time teaching there. Yes. And I hope I was a good teacher. But we got some really good results in the class that I taught, fine art. So I believe we did a good thing there.
What do they call you, Mr. Kiarie?
I was simply KJ.
Oh,
Yes, simply KJ.
Yeah.
It has never changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next vessel is Mheshimiwa.
Yes, it is, and that's a good prayer. And
Bendera.
Jeff, I believe that something went terribly wrong
Right.
in 2007.
But it was
terribly wrong.
but it was a learning process.
Yeah.
And hopefully, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you look back and say, you know what? I learned from that. And we can
Yes.
change that.
Yes, we did learn the hard way. It didn't have to be that way. You don't have to be crippled to have said that you are an activist. We got attacked politically because of what we stand for. But the good thing is we stand here to change that so that someone else won't have to go through what we went through. But while we're still at that, I have this really good feeling about everything that is happening, that we are on the verge of something really beautiful for the young people in Kenya, but also for Kenya as a country. I see really good things coming about, and that's why we had to go through these really terrible times.
Yeah.
It's our walk through the desert. We've done it for 45 years, a bit longer than the Israelites did. But I believe we are right. Canaan is beckoning.
We're on the verge.
We are right on the verge of walking into Canaan.
And to quote your favorite politician, change is coming.
Change is coming.
Change
Yes, it
you
is.
can believe in.
But me and you will have to be the instruments of change.
Thank you.
Change
my
is
brother.
coming.
Well done.
Wonderful.
Good job. Wow. What can be said after that? What a guest. What a show. What a week. KJ, from cartoonists to TV ridiculous to politics. And he's not stopping there. He has put his money where his mouth is, practicing what he preaches, and he wants to genuinely make a change for this nation and make a change for the people who matter the most, the youth. Why? Because you are the future of this nation. Wow. This is incredible, and it keeps getting better. And guess what? You can only get those kinds of guests, these kinds of shows, right here on Capital Talk, only on the award-winning station K24, where we are
All Kenyan on the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, all the time.
my brother.